I was 11 when I moved to Jersey City from the Philippines. I was your typical girly girl. I was into clothes, shopping, enjoyed going to the movies, and reading books. I mainly hang out with my cousins and spent most of my summer as the family's designated babysitter.
I lived in California before I moved to New Jersey. Before I met Dorie, I was nerdy, arrogant, competitive, punctual, and played a variety of sports and video games. During grade school, I was always in math and science programs and mostly hung out with guys. I'm still awkward around girls.
Lam and I met in high school. We were both in the same magnet program, just 1 year apart, and we pretty much had the same teachers and friends.
I think we first met at the Franklin Institute during a class trip in Philly. Our conversation was short. Dorie walked up to me and asked, "Where's the wife?" She was referring to my girlfriend at the time. I don't remember what I said, but I clearly remember that conversation.
I knew his younger brother Vin, but I hadn't really gotten to know Lam until my sophomore year when we both tried out for the Academic Bowl, which is our high school version of Jeopardy!
On the first day of high school academic bowl practice, Dorie asked me, "What are you doing here?" She said it in a "I own the place" tone. I was offended and intrigued. No one, let alone a girl, questioned my intellect that way. Lam
is a super genius, and he couldn't believe that I asked him in such a blunt way. I only asked the question because I didn't think anyone was interested in trying out. Academic Bowl isn't exactly the coolest thing to do.
We both made the Academic Bowl team that year, and that was the beginning of greater things to come.
Even though Lam asked me to be a state for his senior prom, we didn't start dating until after he graduated high school. In fact, we didn't disclose our relationship to our high school friends until they caught us walking, holding hands. I remember everyone shouting across the street, saying, "We knew it!"
Our first date wasn't that interesting. We walked to the mall to watch Gone in 60 Seconds. Somehow, after the movie, magically, we became a couple. However, the memories embedded in my mind are my senior trip to Wildwood. Dorie was not a senior, but she tagged along. But I'm glad she came. We spent a lot of time together on that trip. Everything felt perfect. I wish the trip had never ended. I graduated high school, was accepted into college, and ended up with a beautiful girl that I wanted to get to know better.
Summer before Lam left for college was a memorable one. Lam was in Stevens for the summer for a freshman orientation, and I spent my summer babysitting. We tried to see each other as much as we could, especially over the weekends. Long before texting and FaceTime, I remember the late phone calls and AOL IMs.
In retrospect, college was difficult. Trying to balance schoolwork, a relationship, and me time was impossible. I believe college is the time for people to find themselves. Dorie and I, the distance between us was an added challenge.
For college, I went to Smith in Massachusetts. We were 4 to 5 hours away, but the distance was still an obstacle. It even got harder when I decided to study abroad for a year in Japan. We ended up separating and went on our different adventures.
After a year apart, I finally realized that in life, you don't stay with the person you can live with, you find the person you can't live without. After we both graduated college, Dorie and I decided to give us another chance.
We moved in together in 2006. We traveled every year and engaged in new, exciting hobbies. For a while, we got into camping, and with camping, we started hiking. Then our friends introduced us to snowboarding in 2008, and we loved it since then.
Just between you and me and everyone else here, Dorie is still unathletic. She didn't play any sports before she met me. I showed her hiking and camping. I taught her how to snowboard and play tennis.
Lam claims that he taught me how to snowboard, which may be true, but I'd like to think that the student has surpassed her master.
When life gets hard, lucky I'm in
How I proposed, you ask? I bought the ring on my birthday, and I planned on proposing to her sometime during our Cancun trip in 2011. I wasn't exactly sure when. I was terribly worried about taking such an expensive gift to Mexico with me. TSA x-rayed my bag twice because of it. If TSA searched my bag, I would have had to propose right there and then in the middle of Newark Airport's busy security line.
We had just gotten to our hotel room getting ready to explore the beaches when he suddenly asked me to look into my bag. I was looking for the camera at the time, and I had accused him of taking it, so in a rush, I reached into my luggage and then I saw it. The box. Our friends came over to our room at that point to check out the view, not knowing that Lam had proposed to me. I was making all these obvious hand gestures and it took them 5 minutes to finally notice that I had a ring on my finger.
Amazingly, the proposal worked itself out. Dorie was surprised, our friends witnessed an impromptu engagement, and we celebrated a fantastic milestone.
I love Lam because he's caring and passionate. He's been my biggest supporter and would do anything to make me happy. He's the biggest nerd I know, and no one else can make being a nerd seem so cool.
I love Dorie because during the time we were apart, I knew in my heart that she was the only girl I wanted. She is the kindest, most caring person I know, and I'm the lucky one to be married to her. Oh, and one more thing. She promised me 3 sons.
Lucky to have been